Hello and welcome. We are on board the road train taking us to the Petralona Cave. The Petralona Cave is on the western slope of Mount Katika in Halkidiki. The cave was discovered by accident in 1959. During a period of drought, people from nearby villages went looking for water, but instead of water, they found the cave. My name is Daniela and I tell you about the history, mythology or art of the places I visit in Europe. The cave is about 300 meters above sea level. The cave sits within a karst landscape. This type of landscape is formed when the natural acidity in water begins dissolving carbonate rocks such as limestone. One of the side effects of this chemical reaction is the formation of networks of caves underground. Inside the cave is about 17 degrees Celsius plus or minus 1, and it stays at that temperature all year round.
From now on, we are in the main cave.
Somewhere here is before 300,000 years. If we found something lower, it's before 900,000 years. So scientists calculate when a man or an animal came inside the cave, and also scientists calculate that the age of the cave is more than 1 million years. Let's walk. You will be our leader. You have to walk like this.
The first visitors took advantage of the stable temperature and the shelter offered by the cave. There is evidence that Lower Paleolithic hunter-gatherers visited the cave regularly. Stone tools, fossilized animal bones that show marks of butchering, and the remains of fires have all been found in the cave. Hunter-gatherers have to constantly move in order to find food. They may stop somewhere until the local resources have been exhausted, but then they have to move on. It is probable that the regular visits recorded in the cave coincided with the best season for hunting and food gathering in the region. This suggests that the people using the cave had good knowledge of the area. The entrance we used is a modern addition. The entrance used by our ancestors was much smaller and far easier to guard.
See this light? This is the natural entrance for the cave. From there, man and animals came inside to protect themselves from the cold outside. Ice ages, low temperatures. So, man bring his food here, no foods here, no lights, okay? Eat, took a sleep and then leave. They live here only few days, occasionally, not all the year. Okay, and not.
Humans were not the only ones using the cave. The guide told us that wild animals used the caves for shelter too. A fossilized human skull was found in this cave in 1960. The dating of the skull triggered some major rows among researchers. One dating method suggests that the skull is 700,000 years old, and that would make it an example of early European archaic Homo. Another dating method suggests that it is between 160,000 and 240,000 years old,
We have
which would make the skull an example of early Neanderthal.
here in our
There
museum.
have been attempts to link this cave and the possibly Neanderthal people that used it to other Neanderthal communities across Europe.
Here,
The aim is to build a map of the Neanderthal population movements across the continent. Let's say it is work in progress.
some people ask me, this is not a painting, it's natural. Everything in the cave is natural. The painter is the nature. Some people ask me why we don't have paintings on the walls. Because, as we said before, man of Petralona lived here before 300,000 years. We start to paint as human beings much, much later. That's why we don't have paintings.
There have also been attempts to connect Petralona to caves in Bulgaria, and from there build a map of early humans crossing over from the African continent into the Eurasian continent. The theory is intriguing, but the evidence to support it has not quite been found yet. For example, so far no Neanderthal remains have been found in Bulgaria. The earliest human remains found in Bulgaria are of Homo sapiens. They are from 43,000 to 46,000 years old, and they were found in the Patralona Cave near Dryanovo. I have a video link at the end. Nonetheless, the age of the Petralona men and the Patralona men help put things into perspective. The Petralona Cave is in Greek Macedonia, and the Patralona Cave is in central northern Bulgaria. Both are in the Balkans. People have lived, built, destroyed, fought, and rebuilt in the Balkans for so long that their stories were already ancient folklore by the time Homer was telling us of gods, titans, and giants. It is not surprising that the farther we go back in time, the more difficult it becomes to piece together the history of the region. To put it in a more colorful way, the Balkans' human history goes back so far that, on this timeline, that 2,500 years old temple of Zeus Ammon I showed you in Chalithea was practically built less than 5 minutes ago. No surprises that what we find today are mostly small fragments and intriguing hints of the past. But on we went, my fellow visitors and I. We dutifully followed our guide along the paths and took many pictures. Our guide seemed especially proud of this delicate curtain-like rock formation.
nice. Okay, keep this side. See, a different stalactite. It's very, very thin, and you can see my hand.
It looks like fabric.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Of all the cave is more than 12,000 meters. We will see only the 10 or 20% of all the cave. But we won't see something more if we walk 2 or 3 or 5 hours in a cave. Okay, that's all.
There are stalactites, stalagmites, columns, draperies, shields, and many more interesting shapes sculpted by the chemical reactions of water and limestone. There are natural mineral deposits in the cave, and these lend hues of orange, yellow, and red to the stones. The paths inside the cave are good, and there are plenty of handrails. I visited Petralona towards the end of the school year, and there were many school groups visiting the cave, As a result, the cave tour was a bit rushed. We parked at the bottom of the mountain and boarded the road train. The road train took us up to the cave. By the entrance of the cave there is a snack bar with a sitting area overlooking the valley below. It was pretty, and of course there are toilets. The site is well maintained. We bought tickets for the road train, about €3. Then we bought tickets for the cave. It was €10 per person when we visited. If you want to visit the museum, you have to buy another ticket, which is €10. In the end, we decided not to visit the museum. It would have been better, I have to say, if we could have bought a joint ticket for the cave and museum. But at the time I couldn't see a way to do that. The original Petralona skull is kept at the University of Aristotle in Thessaloniki. This is my last video in Halkidiki. Next week's video will be all about Bulgaria. Hope to see you then. Thank you for watching. In my videos I tell you about the history, mythology and art of the places I visit in Europe. If you like this take on travel, please subscribe. On this channel I publish videos in English, Italian and Bulgarian. Please see links at the end for my single language channels. Until next time, thank you for watching. Have a lovely day. Bye bye.